What's up, my beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of See It Through My Eyes. I'm your host, Richie, here with Jesus.
Hi.
And today we're going to be reacting to a video from the channel Marina McBain. We've done a couple videos, probably like one or two of hers already, but yeah, today I found this video of hers and I found it very interesting. So I want us to react to what she says as well as the topic of the video. Now we're only going to be doing probably like 10 minutes, so I want to make sure that she gets the full credit. We're going to be adding all the details in the descriptions and also make sure to check out her channel and make sure to check out the entirety of the video. Like I said, we're only going to be doing the first 10 minutes. And if you haven't already, I'm going to ask you to please hit that subscribe and that like button. Make sure to share this video and add in the comment section what you guys think of the entire video as well as our reaction and the topic itself. So, Jesus, you ready?
Someone in Hollywood sat down one day and decided that the most romantic thing a man could do for a woman is completely destroy her life. Forget flowers, forget thoughtful gestures, forget actually being a decent person. Because according to the movies, if a man stalks you, manipulates you, and treats you like dirt, that means he really loves you. And honestly, for the longest time, I ate that up. I was the biggest defender of these types of movies. Someone would try to point out that the male lead was being a little bit unhinged, and I would genuinely defend it. Like, how dare you say that a man climbing through a girl's window uninvited is creepy? He's just passionate. And it wasn't until the other day when I rewatched The Notebook for my video about the romanticization of cheating in movies when I realized that it wasn't only the cheating being romanticized. Who remembers the scene where Ryan Gosling dangles off the Ferris wheel until a girl agrees to go on a date with him? 10 years ago, I watched that and I thought it was the most romantic thing I'd ever seen, and then the other day when I rewatched it, I was like, wait, she said no multiple times. And this man responded by putting himself in physical danger so that she had no choice but to say yes. I'm sorry, but that is not flirting. That is a hostage situation. And that's when it really clicked for me. These movies don't just romanticize toxic relationships, they romanticize toxic men. So many of these movies that we grew up on and still love are full of these behaviors that should have us sprinting in the other direction. Stalking, manipulation, control, obsession, and they're not presented as toxic. They're presented as if they're the most romantic thing you've ever seen. And yes, obviously movies are fantasy. I'm not saying that anyone's watching Wuthering Heights and thinking it's a documentary. I mean, of course not. The relationship in that movie was one of the most toxic things I've ever seen, so you'd assume that everyone walked out of that movie completely repulsed, right? Like, there's no way anyone actually looked at Heathcliff and thought, yeah, that's romantic, right? Well, imagine my shock when all I saw on TikTok was girls saying that they want their own Heathcliff. Video after video, these girls weren't just fantasizing about having that type of relationship, they were even reaching out to their toxic ex-boyfriends. And that's what really made me stop and think, is this actually the audience's fault? Or has the romanticization of these toxic men in movies gotten so extreme it's genuinely warped how people read this behavior? That's what we're gonna find out today. I want to break down the classic ways that movies frame this toxic behavior as desirable. The tricks, the tropes, the camera work, the writing, all the little ways they manage to make this behavior that should feel disturbing look romantic instead. So strap in, because I promise you, you are not ready for what I'm about to show you. The first toxic trope I want to talk about is one I like to call the emotional roller coaster. You know the one, he's cold, he's distant, he's kind of horrible to be around, and then suddenly he switches and gives you just enough affection to keep you hooked.
All right. So, with the introduction first, what do you think so far? Like what she was
So
saying.
far, I so far I think that there's a lot of movies showing that type of love in a really like negative way, and it's weird because you obviously have people that are attracted to that sort of stuff,
Hmm.
right? Like something toxic, something thrilling, but then you have movies that show something like that, but in a really bad way. There's a recent movie that came out a few weeks ago called Obsession,
Oh yeah.
and what happened?
No, I was saying, oh yeah. No, she actually did a video on it too.
Mm-hmm. And that movie shows it in like a bad way. Where I think these days the narrative might start to shift, honestly, with more people just thinking about this trope and just not wanting to be in a toxic relationship with somebody. What about you?
Yeah, for me, just kind of going off kind of the question that she posted at the beginning, whether it's us as a society or as the audience, or is it the movies? And I think both play a pretty big role in kind of this weird obsession with or at least like embracing this toxic behavior. Now I know this video, like, she's talking mostly about like toxic men being portrayed as kind of like the obsessed one, and the women kind of being attracted to that. But and we've talked about this, I think, even in one of the videos that we reacted to, like her videos, where there's example of men, and we have known a lot of men too, um, and even me, like if I'm being honest, in my younger years, being attracted to that toxic female, also that obsessive, controlling, possessive, just explosive, dramatic, like that type of relationship. And you do, if you are at one point in those type of relationships, I do pray that you guys, come out of it, because it's not a healthy relationship for you or for your partner to be in. It's not a relationship you want to be in for, if you want something serious and established. But so, yeah, at least for the first question, that's kind of what I got. So let's continue on with the rest of her commentary.
And the best example of this is the After movies, which, by the way, are marketed towards teenage girls, which is terrifying. If you don't know what the After movies are, they're a popular franchise based on a book series by author Anna Todd. And the part that makes this whole thing feel like a fever dream, the story originally started as a Wattpad fanfiction about Harry Styles. So yeah, just keep that in mind as we go through this movie. We begin with our female lead Tessa, who's kind, polite, and ready to start her new life at college. One night she comes back into her dorm room after taking a shower, only to be jump scared by a random man in her bed. This is Hardin. He's your typical bad boy who thinks wearing skinny jeans is a personality trait. Now just listen to what happens when she asks him to leave the room.
Can you please go out into the hall so I can get dressed?
Don't flatter yourself. I'm not looking.
She's a better person than me, because I would have dragged him out of that room by that stupid leather jacket. So from the get-go, you can see that her boundaries don't matter, her discomfort doesn't matter, and I think that really sets the tone for what this movie is gonna be. The next time the two of them see each other is at a party when they play a game of Truth or Dare, which starts off with everyone shaming Tessa for being a virgin. Why is that such a common thing in these types of movies, as if it's something you should be embarrassed of? But anyway, his friends then dare her to kiss Hardin, and he gets up in her face, fully expecting her to do it. The audacity is insane. We then learn that she's actually in a relationship, so she politely rejects him and leaves the party. At first, he seems pretty butthurt about it, and then the next week, he does a complete 180. He's suddenly all over Tessa, basically making it his mission to get her attention. And even though he has the personality of moldy cheese, that was somehow enough for Tessa to want to cheat on her boyfriend with him. Which of course isn't great, but I already did an entire video on cheating on movies, so I'm not doing it again. Moving on. At this point, she realizes that she wants to be with Hardin, so she tells him that she's gonna do the right thing and end it with her boyfriend. Hardin responds to this by saying, "Don't do it for me, I don't date." Oh, yeah, right, totally understandable. It's not like you spend weeks trying to manipulate her into liking you. But fine, whatever, she takes it and she tries to move on. A few weeks later, her boyfriend comes to visit her, and the three of them end up at the same bonfire night. As you can imagine, this is already awkward enough, but then out of nowhere, some random guy tries to kiss Tessa. And guess who jumps to her defense? Her boyfriend? No. Hardin. He literally launches himself over the fire and punches the guy in the face. I'm sorry, 5 minutes ago you said you wanted nothing to do with her, and now you are launching yourself over an open flame for her? I'm not even Tessa, and even I'm confused. Later that night, she gets a call from Hardin's roommate who tells her that she needs to come over immediately, and ignoring all the red flags of the situation, that's exactly what she does. When she walks in, she finds the house completely destroyed. We're talking glass everywhere, furniture smashed, holes in walls, just completely torn apart. Now, my first thought was, did someone drive a car through the living room? But no, apparently Hardin was so angry about what happened at the bonfire night that he tore the room to shreds. He continues to take this anger out on Tessa to the point where she's visibly shaken, and just when you think this man is about to fully crash out, he's suddenly on the floor crying, telling her about his trauma. The movie frames this as a breakthrough moment, like we're finally seeing the real Hardin. But anyone who's had an experience with an abusive person knows exactly what's happening here. He explodes, he scares her, and then the second that she's about to walk away, he suddenly makes himself the victim. And just like that, she goes from the person being hurt to the person who's responsible for making him feel better. That is emotional manipulation 101, and it's Hardin's favorite hobby. The next day, Tessa's boyfriend finds out that she was cheating on him and breaks up with her on the spot. Let's get a round of applause for this guy, literally the only logical person in the entire movie. But before Tessa can even process this breakup, Hardin then asks her to move in. To say this man is a walking red flag is an understatement. At first, things between the two of them are all sunshine and rainbows, but it doesn't take long for the cracks to show. We learn that Hardin has a traumatic past, and because of this, he wants Tessa all to himself. He gets jealous of everyone in her life and even isolates her from her friends and family. But hey, at least they're in love, right? Well, that was until Tessa finds out that the only reason Hardin pursued a relationship with her was because of a bet. A bet. Remember that night at that party when they were playing Truth or Dare and she rejected him? Well, here's what happened after.
Here's a dare. Make her fall in love with me. And then I'll just turn it off.
So the majority of the romantic moments in this movie were fake, just a game to see if he could make her fall for him. And the craziest part isn't even that he did it, it's how the movie tries to make him the victim. Instead of showing the distraught that this has caused Tessa, it immediately starts shifting the focus onto Hardin's feelings. His guilt, his pain, his trauma, blah 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 blah. They take something genuinely awful that he did and try to make it better by making him look sad about it. And suddenly we're meant to forgive him. It's like the audience is being manipulated right along with her. And again, this is a romance movie targeted towards teenagers. Just think about how dangerous that is. These kids are consuming this, thinking that this is what love looks like, that this is what it means when someone really likes you, which is terrifying enough on its own, but then you remember that there are 5 of these movies. 5! And they only get worse. Let me just take you through some of the highlights. In the second movie, Tessa starts this internship at a publishing agency where she works alongside a co-worker named Trevor. And even though their working relationship is purely professional, it sends Hardin absolutely spiraling because, God forbid, another man breathes in her direction. By the time we get to the third movie, his anger is completely out of control. It's a continuous cycle of him getting drunk, starting a fight with Tessa, which always ends in violence. He's either throwing something across the room or punching a hole in the wall. And these violent outbursts escalate to the point where he sets his mum's house on fire. How is this a real movie? And the craziest part is, that's still not even close to being the worst thing he's done. In the fourth movie, he decides to secretly write a book about their entire relationship, which includes every single private, intimate moment. Tessa only finds out about this when she stumbles across a draft copy in his bag and is obviously horrified. Because I mean, who wouldn't be? So she confronts him about it, and instead of acting like a normal person and realizing how creepy and selfish this is, he basically shrugs it off and goes, well, there's already people interested, so there's not much I can do. This man literally makes my blood boil. But thankfully, for the first time in this entire franchise, Tessa actually breaks up with him. I was thrilled, genuinely thrilled. And do you want to know what Hardin's reaction to this was? He goes and publishes the book. He's pure evil, there is literally no other way to describe it. But fine, whatever, at least it was over, and this time it looked like it was gonna be over for good. So with Tessa gone, the final movie centers around Hardin and is pretty much framed as his redemption arc. Like after 4 films of him lying, manipulating, and ruining her life, we're supposed to sit back and watch him grow. And the way they attempt to do this is by telling us something from his past that is genuinely awful. We find out that before Tessa, he made another bet to sleep with a girl called Natalie. Okay, so he has a pattern of seeing women as objects, which is bad enough on its own, but just wait till you hear what happened next. We learn that he secretly recorded their intimate moment and sent it to his friends as proof that he won, completely without our knowledge. These friends then shared this video around, which ended up ruining her life. She had to move to an entirely different country just to escape it. And I sat there in genuine disbelief because this isn't just toxic behavior anymore, this is a completely irredeemable criminal act. And you would think the movie would finally treat him like a villain at that point, but it doesn't. Instead, the entire storyline is framed around Hardin feeling bad. He travels all the way to Portugal to track this poor girl down just so he could apologize. This is of course followed by lots of cinematic shots of him journaling and staring out of windows looking sad. The film is clearly trying to reframe him as this man who's growing and finally taking responsibility, but it never actually stops to sit with what he did. Natalie barely even gets to be a person in this movie. We never see her anger, we never see the full weight of what she went through. She purely just exists for Hardin to apologize, feel better about his life, and then move on. And of course, she forgives him immediately because we can't have him looking too evil, can we? The movie then time jumps 2 years into the future where Tessa and Hardin bump into each other at their mutual friend's wedding, and instead of them having a normal interaction, Hardin turns his best man's speech into a declaration of love for her. He literally hijacks his friend's wedding to win back his ex, and the movie plays this like it's the most romantic thing in the world. I'm losing my mind. Tessa runs out upset, he follows her, and then 2 seconds later, the two of them make up. And then, as if that wasn't bad enough, she then apologizes to him about how she reacted to the book. She apologizes to him. We're now in a reality where she's apologizing for being upset that he released her private life without consent. And the film treats that like growth, like she's matured, like she finally understands him now. And from there, it's just full speed into this happy ending. They say they still love each other, he proposes, she says yes, and then it cuts to them being married with kids, living happily ever after. That's it. That's the ending.
Hardin is a very terrible guy. Just based off this, what we're seeing from this video. And he's a classic example of the quote-unquote nice guy who somehow gets the girl at the end. And I think that this has been a concern for a lot of women. I think now, these days, obviously more women are talking about this type of person. And it's nice to know that everyone has a certain level of awareness for someone like this. And yeah, just don't date a Hardin. Please save yourself the headache. Richie?
So for me, I want to kind of come at it from different angles. So I want to come at, I agree with Marina's take, and I'm glad that women like her, are calling this bullshit out because this has been normalized for too long in our society, even before we were born. Like a lot of this type of behavior was whether it's this aggressive or even like the passive aggressive kind of perspective of the guy that is obsessed with the chick. And he's willing to, he's not willing to take no for an answer because, he just wants to have her and he has to have her. And the journey is you see the journey of like how he does everything to, get her and everything. And it is portrayed a lot of the time in a lot of different like examples that this is it's the resilience, like that's what love is supposed to be about. And I agree in a relationship where the feeling is mutual. Like if you're already with the person, yes, like you shouldn't just give up the minute that things go wrong or things start getting hard. But in the relationship, but when at least from a male's perspective, and I want to get your response, Jesus. From a male perspective, for me, if I got to do all that for a female, that just shows that I have no type of respect, not only for her, but for myself. Because if someone doesn't want to be with me, then why am I going to go through all of that, to get with her? So for any dude that looks at this and sees it as, oh, that's what you got to do, go and be a creep and do all this shit. And that's what it means to show a woman, this intense passion and all this other creepy shit. Like no, that's gonna get you, locked up or just in a toxic relationship. So that's what do you think first?
I think that you're 100% correct. Like it's it's a very weird thing, like based off persistence, right? Because as
Hmm.
you said, it's like, why would you do that to yourself and the other person? Like, you're just wasting their time, right? And you're wasting your time too. And it's like, I have to think to myself where it's like, maybe these movies are written by older guys. And when I say older guys, I mean like 50 above, you
Hmm.
know? Because you hear a lot of these stories in our like grandmas and grandpas generations
Hmm.
where it's like, oh, we met when we were younger and he would wait for me at the place that I worked, but he would do that for like maybe a year or something, and he would be
Hmm.
very, very persistent, you know? And it's like you hear that, right? You hear them say those types of stories and it's just like, what the hell? What happened to you? I don't think that was love, man.
Hmm.
And I think that that's how these situations tend to go.
No.
And it's like it's weird, like, people want to frame it like, oh, especially Hollywood, like, oh my God, as she even said there, like they have kids. But it's like, I bet you if they made another movie, right,
Hmm.
where it focused on their family dynamic would be fucking horrendous.
I hope that our society is starting to wake up, especially, well, both men and women are starting to wake up, and we're no longer taking advice about relationships, about health, about anything from Hollywood, from social media, from celebrities, because as we're seeing the lies, the grifting, just this weird distorted reality that they try to push on us, especially when we're younger, dude.
Yeah.
I agree with what you were saying, but I think even now, like, we
Oh
see
yeah,
so
no,
many.
it's still there. It's still there. It's just now we have like
Well,
proper
I was gonna
words.
say, like, we see examples of people that still have this mindset, because
Yeah.
maybe it's a little different, but the situation with the singer David, like that whole situation
Oh,
of
dude,
this,
yeah.
like, yeah, like, if you guys wanted to react to that case, by the way, add that in the comment section.
Jesus
But
Christ.
like I said earlier, I think both sides do have their faults in it, because as a society, we should also be the ones calling this bullshit out. And like I said earlier, I'm glad that not only Marina but other females are calling it out, and I hope a lot of guys are also calling this out, that it's not healthy to have that type of relationship or want that type of relationship, right? And
Yeah.
especially when you're younger, because like I said, and I'll get to my final point, like where I came from. Like I said earlier, that was kind of the mindset that I used to have, and the type of relationships I glorified. I really desired, and I thought that was because that's what I grew up around, both in media, but also like my surroundings. So I think as a society, we are also responsible for what, because this is selling. Clearly, it's selling. So the women or whoever that's buying this bullshit, that the fault is also on them. And in real
Yeah.
life, I do hope that a lot of women start taking these examples and start looking at the right red flags, right? Because
No,
we
and they are. They are. There's a lot that are, there's a lot that pointed out. I don't think that that type of behavior, like, it's still happening, which is really
Mhm.
weird to see. But even when it happens, there are women who will point it out and be like, "Hey, what's going on here?" You know?
Mhm.
As I mentioned before, you have movies that have come out that have shown this, but in the way that it's meant to be shown, as a terrible action. Um, you have movies like Obsession, right? And
Mhm.
light spoilers, right, for this movie. But you have a man named Bear who likes this girl named Nikki, and they're in the same friend group, right? It's just Bear is too much of a fucking bitch to tell her how he feels, right?
Mhm.
And he's throughout the movie he's being passive aggressive and he's being very manipulative.
He's
One
being
thing
very
before,
overbearing, you
yeah,
might
yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah, he's unbearable. And he picks up
Ew.
a magical item from a shop,
Sure.
because he went originally to shop for Nikki. She one of her crystals broke, and he
Mm,
was like, "Oh, I'll get you a new one." But instead of getting her like a crystal, he gets a One Wish Willow. Now, this One Wish Willow is guaranteed to make your wish come true, right?
mm,
So he wished for Nikki to love him more than anyone else in the fucking world, right?
mm,
And the whole movie explores this dynamic of the wish essentially taking control of Nikki, taking away her autonomy, and Bear taking advantage of her. I recommend the movie. It is really good. When I went to see it with my cousins, it was kind of sad to see them kind of relate to Nikki, even though she was like in a possessed state. But they related to in a way where it's like they saw the way Bear was treating her, even when they were quote unquote dating each other, and it was really sad, honestly.
but at what
Even
point though do you
Mhm.
kind of, and I'm not trying to victim blame before anybody gets
Right,
on here,
right, right,
but at what
right.
point do we take self accountability that, we also let this happen, like as
Of
for
course,
the person,
of
like
course.
abuse
Yeah,
is
and
never okay.
it
We can both
it
agree on
even
that.
it even explores that dynamic within the friend group that they're in because the friends aren't really doing anything to help them out because they see her acting weird and it's just like, oh, okay, who cares? You know? Um, I think that you're right that, obviously we shouldn't victim blame, right? We should help the victim and stuff, and we should call all this shit out when we see it because it's important no matter what gender you are, right? Because it does go both ways.
But see, where I was getting at earlier, the problem that I have, and I think Marina even talks about it a little bit later
Mm-hmm.
on in the video,
Mm-hmm.
um, where you see different examples, but it's still kind of the same thing. You see a
Yeah,
lot of like women who obsess over serial killers that are locked
yeah,
up, or just
yeah.
dudes that are locked up. Like
Mm-hmm.
that bad boy bullshit is really glorified. And
This
hold
this
on.
is
I think
uh,
with like us guys, it does happen,
yeah,
but I kind of see it way more when it comes to like with women. And I get it when it comes to like younger girls, because we all go through that. Like I said, even younger dudes.
yeah,
But I especially see that with like older women. And for me, it's I think Marina also touches on a layer. If the dude was an ugly dude, like, physically, would we be making, what we this obsession with that type of like depiction of a desirable man, would it be the same? You
no,
get me?
no,
Like,
it
what do you
wouldn't.
think?
Like it would have a much more severe reaction simply because the dude's ugly. You know, like it's not bad enough that like I think people can forgive it a little bit, which is crazy to say, right?
Mm,
Because like the dude's handsome, but if it were an ugly dude, you know damn well
yeah.
people would not be vibing with that. And I think even now too, like people are starting to realize like, hey, it doesn't matter if the guy's handsome, like they're still they're still insane, you know? Yeah, but what do you think about it?
Yeah. Like to me, I mean, I know fucking, Ryan, what's his name? Gosling, whatever the fuck.
Ryan Gosling?
Yeah. But I think, I want to believe that I'm a decent looking guy. But if I was Mr. Busted looking, I think I wouldn't have been able to get away with a lot of the shit that I put a lot of women in my past through.
Yeah.
Um, and it's something, it's the last point that I want to kind of touch on, my past with that. Because like I said, I grew up both thinking that that's what it meant to be, to want that type of relationship, to be that type of man. And even for the women, that's the woman either to accept me or we switch roles and she's the toxic one, the obsessed one. And that's just desirable because, and even I got to call it because she was cute. But let
Yeah.
it be somebody that was average looking or less, than that. Yeah, I wouldn't be putting up with that bullshit. You get me? And I went through that. Like I said, both on both sides. and sometimes even like in a relationship where both of us were like that, and it was glorified. I remember when my girl, one of my girls that one of my exes that our favorite song was "Love the Way You Lie" by Eminem and Rihanna. Like that was the anthem for a lot of toxic relationships.
Okay. Oh,
You know, like and it was normalized when we were growing up, whether it was
mhm.
through music, movies, whatever. Our culture, you know, in the Mexican culture especially.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you're from like a different culture, you know, you can add that in the comment section. You could share also, but like from our perspective, you know.
From our culture, we have like the stereotype, oh, the toxic Latina.
Hmm.
And that's what a lot of people latched onto, and it's like a lot of dudes like that. There's so many jokes where it's basically, oh, the joke is you have a toxic Mexican woman and everybody loves that, right?
A pretty toxic.
A pretty toxic, you know what? Sometimes it doesn't matter. Who knows? There are exceptions.
Mm,
It depends on the
yes,
person.
but
It depends
remember
on the
the
person.
conversation that you and me and Ian were having actually like what was it, like 2 weeks ago, I think, about
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
question of and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys, if you haven't already seen it, you could guys check it out, like a bunch of reels and videos on YouTube of like Latina girlfriend doing this and this and this, and it's a toxic Latina woman, and we were having that conversation that if she was a average looking or under, you know, like I don't know, ugly chick Latina, would it still be the same thing? Because to me, I don't give a fuck what your ethnicity is, you know, or how you look. Toxic is toxic, and we got to stop, you know, making excuses and justifying like, oh well, because they look a certain type of way, we're gonna let that. Because I think, and me and you, we've had this conversation too. I
Hmm.
think human nature, when we're infatuated by somebody's like physical appearance, it's going to happen regardless, right?
Yeah,
But as a
we won't
society, we
escape it.
kind of need to like come to our senses and be like, no, you know, this is not okay for women. This is not
It's
okay
not
for
okay for
men.
men.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, I think for our culture and for a lot of like what's going on right now with like the different gender debates and gender movements, you know, we've had these conversations before too. There's
Hmm.
a difference between being like assertive, which in this situation I think it's a little bit different, like this case with Harden,
Hmm.
um, versus abusive, and like in this case with the dude. But like I said when we were watching the video, that's also on the girl too, though. You get me, like, and it's fucked up that she's being portrayed as the villain at the end, and he's the fucking victim. Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
one in the victim mindset, but he's not the fucking victim.
Yeah. Yeah. And she even touches on it where it's like she feels like the girl feels like she had to apologize
Yeah,
after
dude.
he released the book, and it's just like, bro, what the hell?
That's what's it called? Revenge porn. Not well, at least
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah.
So it's fucked up. Like if you're a younger girl, you know, and you come across this video or you come across Marina's video, pay attention, man. Because if you enter these type of relationships, if that's what examples you grew up around, or you even see that on media, that's not the type of relationship that's going to lead to anything good, especially for you. If you're the one doing this, you know, like I've said multiple times, I can relate because that's where I was at one point. But that's no excuse to not fix yourself, and nobody's gonna come and whatever dysfunction is going on inside of you, no one's gonna come, nor should they come and
Yeah.
fix, you know, what's supposed to be your responsibility. So if you want a healthy relationship, stay the fuck away from these weirdos, and we also gotta stop supporting a lot of this toxic behavior on either side of the gender spectrum, and we
Hmm.
also have to call out the media that's pushing this till this day. Like it's one thing, and I think that's what you were saying, right, with the Obsession movie. It's one thing where you're commenting on like the situation, but you're clearly stating that the stalker, the abuser, is the villain, and the other person is the victim, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus this situation where he's a victim, even though he's the
He's
stalker,
the yeah. Yeah.
and she's the villain. So now, like that's fucked up, man. So check out the entirety of the video. Real good video that she did. I love her reaction and her commentary on it. Like I said, I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of her reaction because I think it's different when it comes to us as men commenting and reacting off of what, like a woman versus reacting to a woman who's commenting on other women and what's going on, because it is something important that needs to be spoken on. And I think more women need to speak up on it and more men need to speak on it, that and call this bullshit out. Because, like she was saying, the reaction on TikTok that you have females that are okay with it. And then if you look, you don't have to look too far. You'll find guys who are like, oh, see, this is how I have to be. Let me treat my women like this. Or they're already like that and they're not trying to change and they feel justified and will continue. So just be careful, guys. Check out her channel, check out her video. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and like this video, share it. Add in the comment section what you guys think. If you have had that type of experience, please add it in the comment section respectfully as well. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. I'm Richie here with Jesus. See it through my eyes. Take care, stay blessed, stay safe, stay away from these weirdos.
Bye.